Good afternoon, everybody. Today is the 24th of September, and we've just finished our second badge assembly for the day. So this morning we had the K2 students, all via video conference, and we presented a range of gold, silver and bronze badges to the kids in the classroom. I was down here in the office with the student leaders and read out quite a number of names, and up in the classrooms they were delivered, and then we repeated the process with the older students. So to put that in sort of perspective of what's happened, here's one of the lists. I had 7 pages like this, and the yellow represents the gold badges, the orange represents the bronze, and the paper colour represents the silver. So we handed out quite a few of those badges today, and with a bit of luck, your kids will come home with their badge pinned to their shirt and with their certificate. And normally we would like to see everyone here to share that experience with us. But to make up for that lack of sharing, what we've got instead is photographs happening in the classrooms right now as we speak. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to put those photographs together and I will release a video via our school website and with an SMS link. So you can see that all of the students holding their certificates with their badges, and it might be something that you can keep and you can share with the kids as you go along. And as you know, tomorrow marks the end of the term. So by 3 o'clock tomorrow, the kids will go home and the holidays will commence. School returns next term on the Monday, the 12th of October. And that's different to the other terms. So normally what would happen is, whilst term comes back on the Monday, the first day is pupil free. The staff are engaged in development sessions and that type of activity. However, in term 4, we all come back together on Monday on the first day, and any development activities happen at the end after school breaks up. One thing I do need to really ask for some support around though is the morning sessions. So today by 8 o'clock, I think we had around 40 students at school, and school actually doesn't open till 8:25. That's when supervision starts. And in fact, the teachers don't have to report for duty until 8:25. So having kids here before that does present a safety issue for them. And I've asked for some support and not have kids here earlier than that. If before and after school care is a concern, you might need to have a bit of a chat with each other and with some friends. And there are a couple of out-of-home care providers that do a drop-off here before and do a pick-up after school if that does help out. Now, we have a couple of things we're working through at the same time as we're managing the end of the term. One of those big things is around 2021, and it seems like a really long way away at the moment. But it's important for us to get our numbers locked down, because the difference between having 2 kindergarten classes and 3 or even 4 is absolutely huge. And, there's staffing movements and room movements and that sort of stuff that need to happen. We would really like to get them organised throughout term 4. It will make the start of the year much better for the kids. We're still working through what kindergarten orientation looks like. And it's easy for kids who are in our current preschool group. But for students who come from outside, that's a bit of a different story, and there's some new guidelines that have been released, which I'm going to go through in a minute, which will help keep us on the right track. But probably the best thing that the community could do to help us is to get enrolment forms submitted. So if you have a child that is going to be attending our school in 2021, it would be great to have all of their paperwork finalised, and that will help us to get everything organised for us quite nicely. I have had quite a few comments from parents about photos. So school photos can happen. Probably there'll be no staff photo this year, but we don't see that as the end of the world. It's the kids' photos that count. So we should be able to have a whole school student photo. We should be able to have class photos. The first of the envelopes went home yesterday afternoon, and the rest should be going home this afternoon, along with a note to explain exactly what's going to be happening. So basically on Monday of week 2, we will be having most of our school photos. On Friday, we will have the other preschool group invited in to have their photos taken, as well as the whole school photo at that point. We're trying to work out a way that we can have all the staff involved in with appropriate social distancing. We feel that might involve a photo with us all on the field or something like that, but we're trying to really work through that. But most likely the big thing for education is in the last half hour or so, we've had the Term 4 update has been released to us, and it's going home with the students this afternoon. It is 16 pages long, so it's quite a bit of reading, but I've got the highlights here for us to share together, and hopefully that'll make it easier for us all to understand. So I'm trying a new thing. I'm going to share my screen, and with a bit of luck, I can get the appropriate information up and everyone can see it. So up here on the screen, you should be able to see what's going to go home this afternoon. And the package is called Advice for Families. And as I said, it's 16 pages long, but we don't need to really worry about every single page. So probably the bits that I would be inclined to direct you to the most would start off with school attendance. And so basically the requirements for attendance in term 4 will be the same as they have been in term 3. So if students are fit and well, they should be at the school as they should at any other time. However, if they're unwell, then they would be at home. And what we need to remember though, we have a look on the top of page 2, even if the child has a mild flu-like symptom, it's important to make sure that they stay at home, because they would get sent home, and you can see in here the conversation about students would need to be tested, and then once we have a COVID clearance, they can come back to school. And that's actually the same requirements that we have for the staff here as well. And we appreciate that that creates some challenges for us, but it is about keeping everybody safe, and that's really, really important for us here. The advice goes on and explains that if you have flu-like symptoms and there's a reason for not being tested, then just down in here it explains that a 10-day exclusion period would apply. So that may be, in fact, someone who has seasonal allergies, that type of stuff. So it would be worth reading through that to explain as well. I must admit at the moment we only have a very small number of students that are in this boat. So I think today we have around 3 students COVID testing, and we're generally seeing it within about 20 hours, which makes life a bit easier for us. The advice carries on, obviously explains that we're not going to be sharing food, regularly washing hands, coughing or sneezing into elbows, and the bubblers will remain shut here at school, but we will continue to provide water, as we always have, but our community have been really great with sorting the children out in those ways as well. It's a fairly big section on HSC exam preparation, which doesn't apply to Lethbridge Park, but it may be interesting for those with older students. However, when we get down to the bit that says school activities and school site usage, there are some changes in here that impact our school. So the bits that would really impact our school here would be this little part here that talks about school formals, dances and graduations with a COVID-19 safety plan, excursions and day camps, kindergarten orientation, and year 7 transition to high school. They're the bits that really make the difference to us, and it underlines for us what the types of criteria are, and that includes social distancing, making sure that we have non-essential visitors remaining off the site. So you can see in this little section here that I'm pointing to with my my cursor that the parents and carers remaining off site, as has happened this term, will continue into term 4. It also has some conversations about what in fact can happen. So down here, we can change school assemblies to be limited to 15 minutes with no external visitors. Now, we don't intend to do that. So that means that presentation day will be online, and we'll be doing it the same way as we have done assembly today. It also means, unfortunately, that we're not going to have parents able to attend presentation day. Now, that is a bit of a shame, because that is a really big highlight of our school. It also means that on the day that the school captains are announced, that will be announced in a way that won't have their parents there, which is really unfortunate for us. But we'll work on a way of keeping everybody in the loop as best we can. There is a note down here that says that overnight activities can occur from term 4 in accordance with strict COVID safe requirements. Now, at our school, we traditionally take our students in year 5s and 6 on an overnight excursion. We've pushed that back and pushed it back again. And unfortunately, we've got ourselves in a situation, or rather the situation's evolved, where there is no longer sufficient planning time for us to take the students on an overnight excursion. So even though it is possible, according to the department's COVID safe plan, that we could do so, there's no longer the planning time to be able to achieve that. And the same issue may in fact apply to the year 6 farewell. So at the moment we're talking about what can happen at school, but I'll get to in a minute what happens outside school. Kindergarten orientation in term 4 can go ahead, and we're going to have some meetings today to have a conversation about that. But this advice from the last few hours does change our approach, so we'll be pondering what we're going to do for that, because having those kindergarten students in to prepare for next year is really important for us. In the same way, the Year 7 transition to high school can continue after the 12th of November. So it's a full month, 2 months actually, after we get back. That's when high school transition can start. So it's later than normal, but it can go ahead. It mentions school photos as well. And if we continue right on down, we talk about Year 12 formals. We talk about how dancing can occur, etc. And then there's a conversation that primary schools can plan for Year 6 formals or farewells and graduations, provided they occur in a COVID-safe way. And a lot of the advice is around virtual celebrations. So having students here, parents at home, or us all in different places. As I've spoken about before, the venues outside the school must comply with the wider COVID-safe requirements of the New South Wales government. And at the moment, a lot of our venues, in fact, all of our venues are struggling to find a way that that can in fact happen. So we're waiting to see if some advice will eventuate, but at the moment, it looks like there won't be a Year 6 farewell in the way that we expected in the past because of the wider conditions that apply to venues outside school. Our current thinking is that we will have a Year 6 fun day here on the last day of school, just for the Year 6 kids, and we'll invite some people in, some providers, to have a range of activities. On the day before that, on the second last day of school, the Year 6 teachers and myself and my executive team will invite the Year 6 students to the hall. We will do the presentations that we would normally do, and we'll share some time down there with them individually. We will endeavour to cater that in a COVID-safe way as well. On the last afternoon of school, where we have our clap out, we're keen for something like that to occur. We know we can stream the video that we would make and distribute that fairly easily, so that's not the issue. The issue is, how do we recognise those students leaving? I feel, if possible, I would like to see the community involved. Some of the initial ideas involve perhaps having parents outside the fence line, kids inside, but we'd have to have spacing set out. So we're going to work through that over the next few weeks, but it is certainly something that is on our mind at the moment. So this package will be going home shortly. It's well worth having a look just at the activities on hold. So these are the big things. There's no interstate excursions, which primary schools don't do, or international. Face-to-face professional learning for staff can't occur. Parent attendance at assemblies and other school events isn't possible. And we shouldn't have any school-based activities that involve large gatherings of adults. And so that includes things that are either on-site or off-site. So we need to make sure that we take that on board. So that's what's happening here at school. And what we are hoping to be able to do is to get this paperwork home for you. We will be releasing our video tomorrow of the students' badge assembly, all of the photographs with them holding their certificates. Other than that, though, this would be my last update from Term 3, and I would expect everyone to have a fantastic holidays. We hope that you're safe. Please do remember, school returns on Monday the 12th, and we hope everyone can come back ready, full steam ahead for Term 4.